Japan stormed into China's court not just to play, but to dominate. And what happened next flipped the entire VNL script on its head. In Week 1 of the 2025 Men's Volleyball Nations League, the atmosphere in Xi'an was electric. China, back in the VNL after winning the 2024 Challenger Cup, faced their biggest challenge yet on home soil, Japan. For China, it was more than just another tournament match. It was their return to the top-tier spotlight. Their fans roaring behind them and a fresh start under seasoned coach Vitao Heinen. But opposite them across the net was a different type of pressure. Japan, off a record silver medal performance in the 2024 VNL, was determined to overwhelm. The opposing side's different momentum was even palpable pre-first serve. China was constructing something, but Japan was on their tail. On a hot, technically proficient, and strategically ahead of the curve team, Japan didn't merely arrive. They owned their own tempo, strangling China in all but nearly every rotation. Shoma Tomita took the place of the acting captain in these early weeks, playing and leading with unobtrusive intensity. Kento Miaura burst at the net, and Yuki Ishikawa and Yuji Nishida punished Japanese blockers with relentless battering. The 25-23, 25-14, 25-22 final score at final recounts only half the tale. China had flashes of brilliance in set 1, hanging on until the last rallies, but Japan's dogged persistence wore them out. By set 2, Japan had the match open and bleeding, committing unforced errors and putting an end to China's bid to get going. Set 3 saw China with a fleeting lead, sending the crowd into paroxysms, but it was not gonna happen. Japan's phlegmatic calm was restored and they shut it out clinically. For China, it was a tough loss. Coach Heinen acknowledged his team hadn't played poorly, but they weren't as composed in the big moments. The pressure of playing at home and getting back to world-class competition just overwhelmed them. For Japan, this wasn't just a victory, this was a message. The team that had gotten so close to gold in 2024 came back tougher, smarter, and hungrier. This was not just a game, it was a tone setter for the entire tournament. Japan delivered its message loud and clear. It's no longer searching for silver. Japan's Week 1 clash in Xi'an with China showcased a masterclass of precision volleyball. Here's a full breakdown of how each set played out, based solely on verified, factual reporting. The match opened with tight, intense rallies from both sides. Japan stunned the crowd early with disciplined defense and pinpoint float serving, consistently disrupting China's first and second passes. Their defense at the net was impenetrable, converting Chinese attacks into points and making mistakes at the most critical times. China answered with gritty defense themselves, but 2 unmerited, unforced errors, most significantly at serve reception, left a window of opportunity for Japan to take the upper hand and assume the lead. The set went back and forth until Japan finally recorded a close 25-23 win. The scoreboard indicated the urgency. Just 2 points placed the leader of the late rallies ahead of the one desperate to remain in business. Japan warmed it up in the second set and created an early lead that proved too great to counter. They assaulted China's blocking vulnerabilities, cutting the floor with sharp cross-court strokes and driving line drives. Japan's batsmen, such as Kento Miaura and Yuji Nishida, battled with great economy, often finding the gaps as China could not adapt. Serve was still potent and planned, subjecting the Chinese passing to relentless pressure. Rotations went without a hitch, and Japan shut the set in dominating control, the last 25-14, a demonstration of technical excellence and clinical ruthlessness. China, dazed but not defeated, staged a fierce comeback bid in the third set with a determined effort. Taking an early lead and briefly taking the reins, the audience held its breath as China seemed to turn the script around. But Japan's calm was unbeatable. With strategic serving that skewed China's defense and altered the timing of their attackers, Japan slowly regained poise. Rotational discipline did deliver angles, and nowhere were mistakes more apparent than in China's diminishing serve-receive game. Japan took their lead painstakingly, shutting down Chinese swings with impeccable blocks and precise digs. The set ended 25-22, and the match along with it. The Japanese swept the host country in straight sets 3-0. The final reading was more than just numbers, it revealed imbalances. Japan's serve-receive elite, service-perfect offense, and grid-tooled blocking sets. China, padded with home court advantage, failed to rally mistakes, reception collapse, and fragile late-set poise. These pillars, refined by Japan in back-to-back high-pressure matches, turned an ordinary game into a decisive VNL declaration. Following this confrontation, Japan didn't merely emerge victorious, Japan asserted itself as the title winners, with China left befuddled at the requirement for more precise activity on pressure scenarios. Yuji Nishida burst onto the court with dazzling ferocity as Japan's lightning rod in a split second. During set 2, he tore through the court, pounding thunderous spikes and handing out innovative off-block tips that destroyed China's defense schemes. His accuracy dazed to dizzying heights. Post-match reports verifying Nishida hit at over 60% hits, a scorching percentage which left China at a scramble. Whenever the Chinese side attempted a switch for a big swing, he changed tempo, alternating line shots and deceptively perceptive dropovers, befuddling their block schemes and energizing his own teammates and fans. At the opposite end of the court, Captain Shoma Tomita stabilized Japan's leadership with superior aplomb. Charged with leading a do-or-die opening game abroad, he played Japan's offense like a conductor, alternating middle slams and speedy two-man combinations to frustrate China's blockers. His serves proved just as devious, finding China's anchor receivers and inducing rash passes early in their sets. Aside from statistics, Tomita's soothing voice on court, soothing charged scenes, stifling China's mounting serious rallies, and attaining Japan's tactical masterminding via each rally. The deciding factor in the match was Japan's defensive harmonies, an unbroken chain of multiplayer blocks and coverage on the floor that made China's best hitters run off the mill. On a number of instances of critical moments, Japan utilized double and even triple block tactics, encircling China's pins with scalpel-like accuracy. Commentators were signaling towards a turning point in the third set when one lightning block swipe off the hands created a scramble breakdown and an ensuing Japan counter that sealed the game. It wasn't interceptions in themselves, though those were impressive. It was defensive crescendos in orchestrated harmony fueled by trust, communication, and near telepathic chemistry. Collectively, these sets describe the team playing to the edge of its ability. Nishida's relentless energy, Tomita's cerebral approach, and Japan's unified defensive presence fitted together the image of a team unwilling to simply make a point. These athletes wanted to blow up the expectations. In a single thrilling match, they didn't just beat China, they sent a message that Japan was in business in VNL 2025. Japan's strategic serve strategy was China's constant hammering in its receiving nail. Japan threw everything at China, including the kitchen sink disguised as perfectly timed floaters and off-speed jump serves, always finding China's weaker first passes on the baseline. The serves actually had China out of sync right from the beginning and didn't let them play quick tempo or utilize their preferred fast attacks. French language statistics analyst Volleyball Metrics wrote Japan's serve pressure came back to haunt the match, with 12 reception errors cutting the slice on their lead and immediately turning momentum into Japan's court. In the meantime, China's rotational problems were glaring. Hosts were even struggling with delayed substitutions and spot switching, good chances coming too late, causing miscommunication and off-spot setting on serve-receive. Official VNL statistics quoted China's reception efficiency at set 2 to decline to 47%, a percentage that usually should be quoted of teams operating in catch-up mode. These mistakes were capitalized on by Japan, who easily switched to good cross-court combinations and prompt mid-pairs. Japan's attack victory was founded on the 4-pillar balanced method. First, they owned their rhythm outright with sustained average rally speeds geared to China's vulnerabilities, denying any beachhead for returns. Second, serve pressure never let go of command, pinning China into secondary and tertiary lines that lost steam under Japan's blocking superiority. Third, Japan's attackers together boasted a 60.4% hitting ratio at all positions, led by outside hitter Yuji Nishida at a towering 62%. Fourth, the net defense closed out the hosts with 25 game total block points, many of them a byproduct of well-scouted digs and reads. In the end, Japan's strategic advantage was more than capability, it was strategy. They exploited China's vulnerabilities, attacked from serves and attack formations, controlled tempo like chess, and complemented their play. The outcome, a clinical deconstruction of China's offensive framework and implementation that yielded not just straight-set triumph, but a full display of systematic, high-caliber volleyball.